That's something, bro. It's funny how you bring up the fact that as teenagers we thought that we knew everything, bro. Because I definitely was one of those kids.
Yes, bro, me too.
They knew everything, bro.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this: has there ever been anything that you thought that you knew when you were young that you still live by to this day?
Oh, that I still live by?
That you still live by?
Bro, there's a lot of things that I've changed perspectives on, to be completely honest. Even with manifestation. And I really kind of like fell out of love for like that type of like success model, I guess you could say. I do think that like I've changed a lot of my opinions about a lot of the shit that I was thinking about when I was 15 or 17. The amount of, you're just ignorant, bro. You're just ignorant as fuck. Like you think that you know people, and people have their own agendas, their own interests, and their own likings. And we go into the world with an extremely naive perspective. We think that everything is the way that we see it online, or we think that, oh, if there's, or like in movies where if there's just this one person that could give me this chance, and it's not necessarily like that all the time. Like there's certainly success stories that are like that, but there's so much darkness you got to kind of like stand in throughout a couple years to really develop an understanding for like what life is and how people are and how people will really treat you and how you need to maneuver in a very like politically correct way. Like you need to understand people. That's been my biggest thing that has changed, is like I used to think people were like how, I don't know, like people were just like the same way they would present themselves to you, but that's not the case. People will present themselves in a certain way, but they have so many other agendas that they might want to get out of you. And that's one thing that I've changed on. It's like I really have understood that people like aren't always great, and you need to really kind of understand that if you want to be successful, you need to understand people and psychology and shit like that. But I don't know, to answer your question, I don't know if there's anything that I still stick to. What about you?
Bro, there was one day, bro. I forgot where I was coming from, bro. I forgot where, bro. But my dad had my tablet, bro. And he was like, why'd you text so-and-so this? And like basically I sent her a long paragraph of like how much I liked her and like how much fucking flowers I'll get her and like I'll write her love letters. Like some corny shit, bro. Like
I don't think that's corny. That's just like how like we kind of grow up understanding what love is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's
you know
just
what I'm saying?
kids
That's
shit.
like young love. Like
yeah,
young
I guess
love.
you could say it's corny, but
You know what I'm saying? I was damn near like yearning and damn near like begging for her to be like my girlfriend or whatever concept I had of a girlfriend back then.
yeah.
And like he sat me down and he scolded me. He was like, "This is not how you like text a woman. This is how you get hurt. You look like a simp. You look like an asshole. You look like a bitch.
How
Like
old
all
were
type
you?
of shit, bro."
6?
I was,
Oh, no, this was 5th grade.
yeah, this was like 5th grade, bro. I was like, what?
That's
Like
still
9
pretty
or
young.
10,
Yeah,
bro.
that's still
Like
pretty
9
young,
or
like
10,
9 or
bro.
10.
Yeah, like some shit like that. And like, I'm not gonna say that, you know, that day specifically, like, changed my outlook. I mean, over time, I will admit I did have a phase where I was just like, oh, hoes are the same, all this. But then, after living a lifestyle like that for 6 months, you start to realize how when you do something, what's the quote? It's like how you do one thing is how you do everything, or some shit like that. And I started to realize not only was I treating women like that, I was treating just people in general like that. I gotta go about it this way, no matter what this person is.
Really? So you saw a direct reflection in the way that all of your relationships were being treated, essentially.
Essentially, you know what I mean?
Wow. And explain. Sorry to cut you off, but that 6-month period, when was that? Like, or are you just sort of?
Senior.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about why senior year specifically, because the 6-month phase was really like interesting to hear.
So my junior year of high school, I had a little thing for this one shorty, and I would say I was a very different person back then. I was a lot more open with how I felt about shit, and I was a lot more emotional when it came to certain topics. As in, if you made me upset about something, I'll definitely make it clear that you made me upset about some shit.
You would communicate.
You know what I'm saying? But like sometimes over communicated. Like, yeah, you made me hurt. bitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Damn.
like I used to get disrespectful type shit. You know what I'm saying?
So you would do it in a disrespectful manner,
Yeah.
not in the most respectful manner, I guess.
Like on some crash out shit.
Oh, damn.
Like essentially, yeah, bro. But I'm like, as I said.
Yeah, we grow up. This was senior year.
Yeah, you know, and you know, I dealt with her for a couple months, and then we fell off because she did something that I wasn't so fond of, and I felt like I gave her multiple chances, whatever. And
Yeah.
you know, I ended up just cutting her loose because I just felt disrespected, and then I kind of went through a phase where I not only resented the women that I had relationships with, her as well, obviously, but like I started just resenting people. You know what I mean? I thought that it was cool to treat people like shit. You know what I'm saying? I thought that it was cool to say disrespectful things to people, even though I was joking. But like, then again, how is that person supposed to know it's a joke? You know what I mean?
And so, would you say that your relationship with women really changed when she did that, or do you think it was any different between the time period where your dad was like scolding you when you were younger? Like, how do you think the scolding was a direct reflection of how you were treating them in high school?
I definitely say it was probably like a little flashback thing, like when that whole few month thing with that shorty went through, and like it failed. Like it's almost like as soon as I hit that block button, I could hear my dad's voice in my head, like,
wow, that's so interesting.
This is what happens when you treat a woman right, type shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
like almost like I told you so.
And it's so funny because I had a talk with him too, like I want to say a few weeks after that situation. And right after that, he was like, yeah, I mean, I did tell you, but hey, enjoy the single life. So I was just like, yeah, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, bro, I think that's like really when I started to like wild out for real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it was like hitting into college too. So you were going to a different city as well, Miami, if I'm not mistaken. And then you went to Tampa. So you was crashing out for a little bit. So tell me a little bit about like your change of perspective then. I know that you told me that this might be something that you might have changed your perspective on a little bit.
I understood. I had to understand that I shouldn't treat people based off of how I think they are, but mostly about who I am as an individual. And what I mean by that, for example, let's say I'm dealing with multiple shorties. All right? There might be one that I fuck with more than the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
But though I fuck with her more, I don't think that I should start anything serious, especially because of the fact that I know internally I'm not ready, no matter how good that girl is.
Wow.
If that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? The old me would have been like, man, fuck all these hoes. I don't care how good or bad. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, now, whether if you're good or bad, I know that I'm not ready to start something serious.
Yeah, so you're just a lot more
emotionally aware.
Yeah, emotionally aware, emotionally conscious of like where your head is at. So you'd rather not entertain something.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sort of on that same boat right now where like I felt like I was ready for a while. And then I just started, I mean, you know a little bit about this. We've had our conversations where, you know, women have like really become like almost a vice where it's like I am consistently trying to like find like experience, but at the same time, like at what cost to their emotional, you know, their emotional threshold, sure. Like it's just like, you know, like at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is like these relationships or these experiences don't necessarily end up anywhere. And it's really frustrating, like as a person in our 20s where like you want to have these experiences, but you don't necessarily feel like you're ready all the way. You know, I got shit that I want to do, but just in that same perspective, she wants to do the same shit. She got her own shit that she wants to do. So it's like everybody's in this weird loop where it's like, do we want each other or do we not? It's interesting, but I'm glad to hear like your perspective is changing little by little. Do you think that you're seeing that directly affect, I'm guessing in your relationships too, like regular relationships, like friendships and your relationships with your parents or family members, or are there still certain aspects that kind of bleed into that old side of like, I don't really want to fuck with these people?
Somebody like you would be a lot more important in my life right now than somebody who I'm seeking a relationship with, because, you know, we've both been through shit.
Definitely have been in some, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's fair to put somebody that I hypothetically just met, who hasn't seen me at that point in my life, before family and friendship. You know what I mean? So, I guess, and to answer your question too regarding family and friendship, you said what's changed?
Yeah, like has your perspective essentially changed in terms of like how, you know, your relationship with women and your choices with women is changing? Would you say that you're sort of doing the same thing with your family? Because I think that as young as we were, we didn't really have choices to, like, you know, we have these people in our lives, or like we have to visit and see, and these people like might say slick comments like as family members, you know, or do this or that. So we grow up like sort of forced around to be these people. So my question is, like, have you sort of been like more pick and choosy of like who you surround yourself with as far as family as well? Or are you more tolerant emotionally? Like, I understand this person is like this because maybe because of that, or because they went through this, or because, you know, they had that happen when they were younger or something like that.
I'd say when it comes to all my family and friends, I have equal amounts of love for all of them, you know, especially if they're good people and they've treated me good growing up and even currently. Now, love and then surrounding yourself around somebody are two different things, I feel like. You know what I mean? I could love somebody but then love somebody from a distance. You know what I mean? I feel like what's really important right now in my life is not only to love, but to surround myself around people who not only have a work ethic, but are also emotionally in tune with themselves and what they want out of life.
Yeah, it's more of a...
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, as you know, as I said, I have love for everybody. Like, I can't name one person that I like hate or anything like that, you feel me? But when it comes to surrounding myself with certain people, like, I feel like I tend to keep a somewhat small circle when it comes to that, bro.
I think that therapy has been, I think that it's been the most reflective experience that I've ever had in my life, just because you really have to recall a lot of moments that you went through as a child and as a teenager, and sometimes even as an early adult. And when you recall these memories, whether they're good or bad, mostly like traumatic ones, you process them, but you process them with a very clear understanding of why they happened and how they happened, and the place that you were in, and the place that your parents were in at the time. And you really learn to understand things for how they really were, and you stop having this resentment for life and people, you know, and for yourself, because you really start to understand yourself. And I think that the more I've been able to understand myself, and see myself grow, but also see my parents grow emotionally as people, it's been extremely rewarding, bro. So like, I think that's what's really like been, not like the relationships are cool, but I feel like for some reason the relationships are still rocky for me. I have a lot of not weird, but bad, like, tendencies. Like, I'll get really anxious. Like if I text a shorty like in the morning and she don't text me back within 6 hours, I'm like, I have this anxious attachment style that doesn't let me live sometimes. But I'm trying to like progressively learn more about it. Like, what are attachment styles, and how can you like learn to grow and like be able to like have a more secure attachment style, to where, like, you know, you live your own independent emotional life and you're not codependent of anybody else. So that's something that I've personally like had to like really face when it comes to relationships, and I've learned it through therapy. So now I have to progressively work through that the same way that I've worked like all of my family stuff.
So you feel like it's more so you need to adjust or maybe change your attachment style instead of finding somebody who may fit better into it?
No, so yeah, it could be either or. Realistically, the goal is always to find a partner that has a secure attachment style already, and they could, you know, through their actions and like through their like behaviors, you kind of learn to like understand what a healthy relationship actually looks like, and not something that you're just not just a relationship where you're trauma bonding with somebody the whole time, which is a completely different conversation. But those are usually the toxic ones where you're always back and forth. But with that being said, like, yeah, you could always find a secure partner that understands what healthy relationships are and had parents that supported them and understood them and, you know, didn't hit them whenever they picked like the candy at the store. And
I got PTSD from that shit.
yeah. And a lot of us at least. And so if you have an anxious attachment style and you find somebody that's avoidant, you're going to kill yourself because like you're going to yearn for them, but they're avoidant. So they're going to look for you sometimes. And then that kills you because you're like, I need them all the time. But if you're secure, then, you know, you have a very clear understanding of like, that person is probably just fucking busy, or that person is probably in class or at work or they're at the gym or, you know, like.
But then again, what if they're not? Like, I know that goes against.
I know,
like,
and that goes, well, that again, that goes back to all of the terrible like misconceptions that we grow up understanding and seeing with our relationships with our parents and with our friends. We see shit happen as men. We really do. So it's just like, yeah, I agree. I totally agree. As an anxious attachment style person, what if they're not? I totally agree. Like, what if they're not actually busy or some shit? It's weird. It's also a very weird dating climate, you know?
It's funny how you brought up anxious, because like that brought up the fucking, what is it called that you sent me? The attachment styles.
Yeah, the attachment style test that I sent you.
And how it came up, how you made me take that shit, which was like funny as fuck. I don't know.
Yeah,
I thought that shit was hilarious. But when I took it, my shit was like dismissive or some shit like that.
Dismissive avoidant, I think is what it was.
Dismissive avoidant, and it's so funny because, like, for example, when a girl takes 6 hours to text you back, you're like, what the fuck was going on? Like, what if she's like, you're more so thinking negative. I feel like when a girl does that to me, like, I'm thinking positively and negatively and just not caring about which one it is. It's just like, she could be busy,
so you just
or
dismiss
she
it.
could be getting her back blown, but I have no proof of either. So it's just like, when she replies type shit. Yeah,
but when she replies, how do you go about it? Do you respond pretty quickly, or do you go cold for a couple of days?
It depends. It depends. Like, if that's a once, like, she doesn't do that often at all, then it's like, I won't be immature. Like, if I see the text, I'm gonna text back. You know what I mean? But if it's something that's constant and like I actually fuck with her, then like I can see myself bringing it up. But if it's just like a fling, like it's just somebody I'm fucking with casually, it's just kind of like.
You ever see like that direct like sort of reaction or behavior like in your parents when you were younger? Like if you did some shit, were they ever dismissive about it? Or like, you know what, like I don't care about it, but I do care about it, but like I'm not gonna really tell you. It's up to you almost. Do you think you were ever in situations like that? Where it's like, fuck, I kind of have to guess.
I feel like both of my parents were pretty reactive people. If it were to be somebody to have the more dismissive personality, it'd definitely be my father. But my mother and dismissive, they don't go together at all. Yeah. She gonna say what she has to say.
So maybe that's the more avoidant side of your attachment style. Maybe the dismissive is your pops. You know, like it's more like hot or cold. Yeah, man.
And maybe that's why I'm so dismissive, because like my mom raised me damn near for like majority of my life, so it's kind of like the fact that she used to spew all this shit at me.
You're just gonna dodge that shit. Yeah. Especially as a kid, we're not wired to understand that sort of like, let's say yelling or like scolding or patronizing. It's like, I don't know, bro. Like for me, I've learned to really understand, like even when it comes to like teaching my dogs something, like or introducing a toy, it's like I shouldn't expect them to know. And it's the same with a baby, you know, like now I have to understand when I have kids, like I can't expect my baby or my kid to know everything. And it's a beautiful thing to kind of understand, because you're responsive rather than reactive. Like you show them shit rather than like, I don't know. I had the opposite experience, you know, and I'm sure you did too. You're in the middle of a rebranding phase right now, bro, and I've obviously had the pleasure I can have the pleasure of saying that, you know, I've developed an amazing relationship with you and the people around you. and we all have a lot of great mutual relationships. And so, you know, we're obviously in the middle of this like rebranding phase where you look, you know, you're looking cleaner, you're looking sharper, you're looking great, bro. And I'm really interested like how you're feeling about not only the rebranding from a visual perspective and how you're looking for everybody to kind of perceive you, but how do you feel about the music that you're gonna be making, bro? I definitely think that there's been a huge change with the atmosphere. I love that word because it carries a lot of weight. The atmosphere of the music is really changing. How do you feel?
I feel like it all started when I started to implement weed into my music.
Weed?
Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but like I don't know if you remember like 2 years ago or even a year ago, bro. Like I would not get high when it came to music because I just felt like stupid as hell, bro. It felt like I didn't even want to make music. I just felt like I just wanted to chill, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I mellowed out too much to want to sit down and lock in.
Too lazy.
You know what I'm saying? But then recently, especially when I moved down, when I was living in Miami, I started to implement, you know, like smoking into like my studio sessions, like recording and shit like that. And though I still had that chill feeling, I noticed like I had a realization like why don't I just reflect this into my music? And not only did I see my music getting more calmer and like more mellow, but I felt like I started to become more creative with how I approach music. I came to a point where I was like, damn, bro, like not every song has to be about like fucking bitches or like, you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah.
Coochie.
So your whole perspective on even storylines and maybe even the characters that you use in your music or even the plots, like has essentially changed. Your story, I think also your storyline is very different in songs now. Like you have really learned a way to develop a story in like those 3-4 minutes also, which is interesting because your songs are so long. I always tell you that. Like it's very purposeful and you're really trying to get the whole message across. You're not in a rush to do so.
Absolutely. I'm not the type to make a song 4 minutes long just on some like fucking shit. I feel like every story has a different length to it. Some stories could be summed up in 20 pages, some in 20,000, you know.
Do you think would you be scared of like that vice becoming like a sort of crutch for the music though? Sort of like how Lucky like really uses lean as a crutch, which is much more addictive, of course. No, but
I've never seen
plenty of artists within the industry and creatives, you know, including ourselves, have used vices at some point in our lives. So I'm curious, like, do you ever think about that, like for future reference, or?
I feel like I'm already, you know, humbly, I'm very good at what I do. You know what I'm saying? And that just makes it better, in my opinion. You know what I mean? But.
Have you ever explored anything within the realms of like mindfulness or like, I don't know, like fuck, I'm gonna go take a walk at a trail and just like listen to some shit and see what I come up with? Has that ever been something like a part of your creative process?
Yes, but I feel like it's more unintentional. You know what I mean? I don't think it's too intentional when it comes to that. Like sometimes, like for example, if I'm trying to get ideas for a song, I won't go and take a walk. Rather, I'll reflect on the walk that I had earlier on that day.
It's very interesting. So it's more, wow, I want to get into that. So it's more of a reflective creative process.
Absolutely.
That's so interesting. So you don't go, okay, I'm going to go on this walk and I'm going to think about what I'm going to write. It's more of, I'm going to go on this walk today. And then later when you write, you think about the walk?
Exactly. But the walk isn't even on some like, I'm going to take this walk so later
I can
of
write
course.
About it. It's just
it's like I'll just wake up one day and I'll be like, shit, I just want to go take a walk.
Exactly. Yeah, it's extremely unconscious almost. That's very beautiful actually that you mentioned that, because it's a very that creative expression is so natural, and I've never really like taken the time to do that. I'm very much like, I need this specific moment for this specific muse, rather than kind of reflect on something that I've essentially wanted, how do I say this? Hold on.
So you're not like, so what you're saying is that you're not too reflective when it comes to your art. You're more so like in the moment or
Yeah, I'm more
purposeful.
in the moment. So like
Mhm.
if I'm gonna come up with a concept for a film or like one of those short films that I do for a minute, it's more so I'm gonna sit, I listen to the song and I'm gonna decide to like do it. But it's not like I've been listening to this song for like 6 months and then one day I hear it and I'm like, damn, I'm gonna do some shit to this. Or maybe I experience like a couple of things with a female. And then like with that song playing and then, okay, then it's a little bit more reflective. But it's more so like in the moment. It's more, I gotta go like draw it. One time, I was literally driving home from the gym, and this song played out of nowhere on Tiny's album when it came out, and it stirred something so crazy emotionally in me that I immediately saw the entire movie in my head, like that entire minute, all the shots, all the lighting, all the angles. And I had to call up my friend in St. Pete, and I'm like, yo, like, I need to shoot this tonight. Like, I'm going to send you some inspo, boo. And I went to St. Pete, and we shot it in that same night. So it's very, like, instantaneous. It's not like I'm going to sit down and kind of reflect on, like, maybe my what relationships I've been through, like, in the last 3 months. Or, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's very, like, intense. It's very intense.
So you don't have, for example, like what I have is like a list of creative ideas that I might want to write or, rap or sing about. You don't have that when it comes to your art? Or if you do, is it not as large as you would prefer it to be?
I have ideas, but sometimes, again, like, I have to feel such an insanely emotional intensity to that idea to do it. So sometimes I'll write it down and I'll have a list and it's too long. I didn't like act on it immediately the way that I like usually do. So to answer your question, honestly, it's too long because I don't act upon it as quick as I should, just because I kind of like, maybe it's a more perfectionist aspect of me, or I don't know, like, okay, I want to do this film idea, but then like 2 weeks pass and I don't do it because like I wasn't like yearning for it. But sometimes it hurts though, because I'll see somebody else do it and I'm like, damn, like the source, whatever source is out there, the creative source, like gave that idea to somebody else and they executed on it, and that's perfectly fine. And this was something, this what we're doing right now is something that I had to like act upon. Yeah, it kind of really speaks to what I'm trying to get at. It's like very, yeah, it's very intense.
You know, it's so funny how you bring that up. I feel like I used to be the same way about my music. Like, if I thought of something, I had to write it down, like immediately, write about it immediately. And the reason why is because if too much time passed, and regardless of how good the song is, if I don't feel that same way, like for example, if like I met a girl at a club, boom, 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 did what I had to do, woo de woo, and the next day I was like, like I'm getting creativity, like I want to write some shit about her. If I don't write and complete the song that day, I never will, because the next day I never feel as emotional as I did the day before, and then the song loses meaning. But
it loses that essence to it.
But what I will say is that as I've grown and I started making more and more music, is that, okay, I might not feel that way right now, but I do have to appreciate the fact that I did once feel that way.
Yeah, so it's a way of honoring the pain.
Exactly. I can't dismiss it. You know what I mean? And I feel like I would have been a lot more open to make and drop a lot more music back then, like growing up and in my like younger days, if I just appreciated the fact that that was once a phase in my life or a moment that I felt that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I always felt like it had to be so like super, that's what I'm feeling right now. And it's like, there's artists who sit on songs for 2-3 years and don't drop it for, you know what I'm saying?
I still think you should drop Come Through. It's a great song.
My bad. I just hate the mix on it, bro.
We could always figure that out.
You know me, bro. I'm so anal about mixes and shit.
I know that you moved in with your one of your parents recently after Miami and everything. I know that, you know, as young as we are, we always have our parents have these extremely high expectations, and you know, us as us as artists, you know, we want to be able to fulfill their expectations, but at the same time, like, fulfill our creative endeavors and our creative dreams. How you been feeling, bro? Like, I know there's a lot of stress involved, but I really wondering, like, give me some words, like, how you been feeling for real? I know it's a lot to kind of carry right now.
You know, bro, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like I've gotten to a point in my life where it's almost impossible for me to feel undefeated about something. It's like you can knock me down a million times type shit, like on some Muhammad Ali type shit, bro. But like, I'ma still keep getting up, bro. You know what I mean? To more so go towards like the parent aspect. You know what I mean? I'd say that I did wish that I got some more support. You know, more support than I currently do. But I mean, at the end of the day, bro, it's my dream. So it's like, you know what I mean? Yes, it might be family. Yes, it might be blood. But you know, what sets them apart from the average person that might know me? It's like they're entitled to feel how they feel about it, regardless how much they love me. You know.
That's anybody though too. That's any human too. You know, they're entitled.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's stressful, but it's like at the end of the day, this is what I want to do. And, you know, when shit do pop off and I have a larger fan base, I'm going to receive criticism on the daily, bro. With shit that probably don't even involve my music. They're probably going to be like, oh, yeah, this nigga's like big toe ugly or something. like some stupid shit, bro.
Yeah, big toe.
I just like, bro, I just got to deal with that shit, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So you think it's been sort of a really good experience to kind of like sharpen that side of you, like that roughness? Like, okay, I'm not going to really let the noise get to me.
It's not even sharpness. It's just I've just become so like desensitized to it. It's just kind of like.
You think you're really desensitized to it, or you think you tend to try to suppress it?
I feel like there was a point in time where I tried to suppress it, and I suppressed it so much to the point where I got desensitized to it. It's like forming a habit, bro. It's like, imagine every day you woke up and, for example, you put on a shirt before you brush your teeth, like just a stupid ass example, bro. And you purposefully did that for like 3 weeks straight, bro. Once that fourth week comes, bro, it's just gonna be habit to you. You know what I mean? So when I receive that criticism, I'm not thinking of it as suppressing how I really feel about it or how it makes me feel. I'm just more so thinking like, okay, like, okay, time to move on with the rest of my day.
When it's people like that you care about like that though, do you see it from like a whatever though, or is it more of do you ever empathize with it? Like, you know what, like whatever, like, I don't know. For me, I tend to have like these moments where I'm like, why is like my pops like this, bro? But then I try to like kind of reflect on like the shit he went through as a kid and the shit my grandpa did to him, or like this experience or that experience. I'm like, fuck, like he don't know no better. But of course, I expect him to change and grow as a human. We can't all be perfect. But I don't know. I've been able to empathize a little bit. How do you see it?
It's funny how you brought that up, because that's another reason why I started suppressing shit. You know, when I first initially started suppressing shit, because it's like, you don't know what that person has really been through, and if you do, you should understand why they're saying what they're saying, or what they're doing what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Why they're doing what they're doing. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, yeah, it hurt me, but then again, like, this is probably a result of their trauma that they have unsolved. And it's like, their unsolved trauma and whatnot, it's like they could shoot it at me and I could shoot back. But then that's just how tension builds. So it's like, they shoot at me, I'm gonna take that bullet. It's not gonna kill me though. You feel me? It's not gonna motherfucking kill me. But shooting back, bro, starting a gunfight is just gonna end not so well.
It's your parents at the end of the day. Like, you can't really.
But I mean, that goes for family. That goes for friendship, bro. Like, there's been friends who've told me, you know, bro, like, I don't know about the music shit, bro. Like, nigga, you should just, like, be an engineer or some shit, be a doctor. And it's like, nigga, I should not be responsible for people's lives, first off. That's first off.
That's an honest response. Like, that's a very honest
first
response,
off,
bro.
But second off, I feel like they're doing it out of a place of care. You know what I'm saying? Because they care about me, because they don't want to see me fail. So that's why I don't take it as an, oh, you don't support me? Fuck you. You know what I'm saying? That's why that's why I never took it that, or not never, but like that's why I recently haven't taken it that way from people who are on the opposing side of me making music.
It's not as personal.
Yeah.
That's beautiful about like the whole growing up shit too. Like, you develop that understanding of like really like they don't want to intentionally hurt people, but they do because of like the amount of hurt that they've been projected onto already. But I like that. I'm happy to hear that you're able to like really just sort of empathize and understand. Just understand. I feel like a lot of us don't always understand it, you know?
Have you ever read the Four Amendments?
The Four Agreements.
I'm thinking of
I cooked you.
4 Amendments. 4 agreements. Yeah, you're right. That weed kicking my ass.
You know, it's funny. I sat in that room about 6 months ago, maybe, for like 2 hours, and I read it from front to back, and it was really good. I should honestly give it another read.
I forgot which agreement it was, which number, but the one that stuck to me the most was never take anything personal.
Ever. That's so true.
And when you read that and you really start to pay attention to how people react to certain things, you understand how much of their personal lives or their past reflects on what they're telling you. And it's funny because they say it, they might come from a place where, oh, I'm doing this because you made me feel this way, but in reality, it's most likely how they just felt previously.
No, absolutely.
And they're reflected onto you.
Yeah, it's a direct reflection of, you know, let's say you point something out that somebody does at work, you know, and you do it in the most ethical way possible. That person might get extremely offended and like want to put you under the bus over something that you did, but it's simply because maybe one time when he was a kid, he was outed for something that he didn't want to get exposed for, or like, you know, like he was snitched on by like a student like in front of the teacher and the whole class. So it's like one of those things that if you just very closely reflect a little bit and you don't react, but you respond. And that's something that we're missing a lot. I've really learned to be extremely responsive rather than be reactive to people and their actions, because I'm able to kind of like step back a little bit and understand, like, to not take anything personal.
And it's funny because I believe you, because the person that I knew 2 years ago, the Kenny that I knew two years ago, is a lot different.
Tell me a little bit about that, because like hearing that from a friend is very interesting.
I feel like you're in a more understanding place now than, like, for example, when I first met you. You know what I mean? I feel like you didn't take everything personal, but I felt like you felt targeted or attacked. You were more likely to feel targeted or attacked.
Yeah, for sure.
2 years ago. And
I agree totally. That's such a good analogy. Like, always felt attacked.
You know what I mean? Like, I remember, I forgot when this was. I think this is around the U shoot or something like that. Yeah. I forgot what I did, bro. But like, you sent me a long ass paragraph. I don't know if it was because like I took too long to respond to something or some shit. I remember just like getting a long ass paragraph. I was like, damn, bro. I apologize. I felt bad. I was like, damn, bro. Because like we weren't as close back then as we are now. So I was just like, damn, dog, just like piss this nigga off.
Yeah. That's so interesting to hear. No, I definitely had a different temper for sure. Again, I just didn't understand a lot of shit, and I was very reactive, bro. Very reactive. So it's just one of those things where like you really, through education and like, I guess life experience, you kind of really understand.
When do you feel like you want to have kids? Like, when do you feel like is an appropriate time in your life?
Whenever I find somebody that is emotionally intelligent enough, that somebody that understands shit, that something as basic as what I just mentioned, you know, somebody that, honestly, bro, emotional intelligence is so important, because like at the end of the day, like relationships are like a bond, and it's like this clash of two people, but at the end of the day, we are very independent and different people. So a lot of the times complexities come in relationships when the girl or the guy think, oh, you have to do this because we're doing this together. But like sometimes like there needs to be this collaborative discussion of, hey, I'm gonna do this even though I understand you don't totally love it. Let's there's a word for this. Let's compromise. You know? I need somebody that I can compromise with, not somebody that is just gonna give me ultimatums. You know, like, oh, like you're not gonna hang out with your homies. What do you mean? I've known them for 4 years and I've known you for 1. You know, things as basic as that, or you know, it's very, very, very. I'm picky, I guess.
So you feel like your choice in children is more so reflective on your partner than your personal life?
I think the personal life matters too. Like they need to be in like the creative field or something. They don't have to though. Like, I don't know. I'm very like right now. I'm at the point where like I don't care like what you do as a profession. You could be a nurse.
Sure
I know.
about that?
Actually, I don't know. I had a terrible experience with a nurse this summer.
Bro, we
actually,
all have, bro.
tragic. I'm curious about you though. Like, what do you look for? Because I know that you're at a point where you're not really choosing to look for anything necessarily, but
That's the thing, bro. I'm not really looking, like, as you said, I'm not really looking for anything. I feel like if the right one were to just fall into my lap randomly, like, just because, you know, God was like, it's your time, I'd explore it.
I just hate that misconception of relationships. Like, I'm just gonna wait until something happens. Like,
No. I agree, and I do too, but sometimes that does happen to people.
yeah, that's true.
I feel like it goes both ways, and this goes with opportunities in life, jobs, everything, bro. It's like you can either go and chase it and find it yourself, or sometimes it'll find you.
Yeah, I guess the topic of discussion really is like just change, bro. Change is like something that is so inevitable when it comes to either relationships or family situations or even like creative shit. Like the change has to occur in some way, shape, or form.
Mm.